What's up, guys? It's me. So it's official. The number of former students who owe a lot of money isn't going down anytime soon. In fact, new figures just revealed that thousands of graduates in the Netherlands are drowning in debt and are struggling to make ends meet. And given how unaffordable everything is right now, it shouldn't be all that surprising that more and more students are turning to loans to pay for tuition and rent, leading to the highest amount of debt on record. So let's talk about exactly what's going on, the new changes that are being made, how much money we're talking about, and then finally what you could do with this information. Because I have to say, this is one of those topics that's near and dear to my heart, since I'm personally paying off $15,000 of my own student loans, while also trying to save for a house at the same time. It's not easy, but fortunately for you, there are ways to make this entire process a little bit more affordable if you're willing to listen. Anyway, let's begin with what's going on, because according to the latest report from the Dutch Central Bureau of Statistics, over the past decade, the amount of student debt held by former students has skyrocketed. In fact, it's gotten so bad that the total combined student debt in the Netherlands currently stands at $23.8 billion. But perhaps even more concerning is the fact that the number of former students who graduated with $50,000 or more in student debt has grown by 9% since last year. That's almost 10,000 more people compared to 2023, totaling more than 146,000 former students who graduated with more than 50,000 euros in student loans. To put into perspective just how long it would take someone to pay that back, let's assume that person only has a job that pays a medium salary of 3,500 euros per month. If they were to pay off the minimum balance every single month at an interest rate of 2.8%, it would take a whopping 18 years until their debt was paid off. Now, of course, that doesn't factor in any additional spending, savings, or any raise in income, but it's safe to assume that this is a realistic estimate for most borrowers. On top of that, if we adjust for inflation, that 50,000 euros is worth roughly 41,000 euros in purchasing power today, meaning that these numbers are bound to get even worse in the coming years. Now, although that sounds absolutely dreadful, there is some good news. Over the past year, the number of people who borrowed money from DUO, the Dutch Organization for the Assessment and Collection of Student Financing, did go down. However, when you look deeper into the data, this trend is mostly due to the fact that fewer current students are borrowing money rather than former students paying back their existing debt. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a positive thing. After all, if fewer students are taking out loans, then clearly things aren't as bad as we think. Well, unfortunately, that's not entirely true, because as it turns out, the number of graduates who already have student debt is increasing. That's why we see the average debt level among graduates continue to increase by 800 euros to 18,800 euros. So overall, this metric is getting worse, even though fewer people are borrowing money. This suggests that those who do end up taking out loans tend to borrow more, possibly due to increasing tuition costs, higher living expenses, and a greater need to take on extra work, which leaves less time to earn merit-based scholarships. Although all of this should be taken with a grain of salt, because we can't know the exact reason why certain students choose to take out loans, we can come to some educated conclusions. As the Dutch National Student Union explains it perfectly. While fewer students are now taking out loans, the number of students with serious financial problems has increased. That's because the introduction of the basic grant in 2023 caused a lot of former students to stop paying back their loans. That resulted in the debt burden being shifted onto those who still had to pay it back, causing the average debt level to rise. As a result, the overall cost of student debt gets passed along to those who took out loans, whether they want to or not. So even though the initial idea behind the basic grant was to reduce student debt, it ironically seems to have done the exact opposite. So what does this mean for you? Well, other than the fact that student debt is reaching record highs, the bigger concern is that many students are struggling to make ends meet. According to the ISO, more and more students are resorting to extreme measures to survive financially. Many are working multiple jobs, skipping meals, taking out additional loans, or even moving back in with their parents just to make rent. And as CBS reports, the number of students who feel under financial pressure has risen by 50% over the past 2 years. Now, some people might argue that this is just a phase that comes with higher education, and that it's a necessary sacrifice to gain the knowledge and skills to get a better paying job later on. But I have to say, there's a fine line between temporary struggle and outright suffering. The issue is that the Netherlands is becoming increasingly unaffordable for those who do not have enough money to begin with, and that's creating a never-ending cycle where students take on more debt, have to work more hours, earn less money, and then have to take on even more debt the following year just to keep up. And if something isn't done about this, it'll become so bad that the best, and brightest minds in our country will be deterred from seeking higher education because they simply can't afford it. Luckily, there is hope. Just recently, the Dutch government allocated 140 million euros to assist students who are struggling to pay their tuition fees. Hopefully, that'll help alleviate some of the pressure that's weighing down on them. But ultimately, if you want to see real change, you'll need to vote for a political party that focuses on making education more affordable for everyone. In the meantime, though, here are a few things that you could do right now to help yourself. 1. Consider switching to a more affordable university or college that aligns with your financial situation and long-term goals. There are plenty of options throughout the Netherlands that won't weigh you down with thousands of euros in debt. 2. Look into taking out a study grant instead of a student loan. Grants don't have to be paid back, so they'll allow you to focus on your studies without the added stress of looming debt payments. And 3. Start building a strong professional network early on. By establishing connections with professionals in your field of interest, you'll be able to stay updated on career opportunities, potential mentorship, and even job openings that may arise in the future. That way, you can avoid the pitfalls that are affecting so many other students. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. How do you think the Dutch government could do more to help students and recent graduates who are struggling with debt? Comment down below. And lastly, before we end this video, thank you for all the support you've given us over the past year. It's been a wild ride, but we wouldn't be where we are today without you. Here's to another year of learning and growing together. Cheers! So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, feel free to add me on social media. Enjoy! Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.